Hey, good afternoon. I'm Patrick Siver and owner and lead auctioneer at G Events LLC, based in beautiful Beaverton, Oregon. So happy to have you join us today for episode 47 of the Fundraising BIDness Talk. Excited to have you join today, and as we visit about a topic that I have been on the front of my mind here for the last several months, and something that I think has evolved in our fundraising auction world as we have navigated the COVID journey, and something that I think is I wanted to share today a little bit about it and get some feedback so that we can move forward and help you and your nonprofit raise the most possible money from your fundraising auction events. I want to encourage you folks as you tune in today, please be sure to say hello, tell us where you're from, and say hi. We always enjoy it, knowing who's tuning in today and seeing who's with us. And then also, if there's any point in the show today that you have a question, something pops in your mind, whether it's related to the subject or not, type it in the comment box. And I'd be happy to. I'll see that comment backstage here, and we will address it and answer your questions right here on the show today. So let's dive into it. I wanted to talk today about the concept of I think that we have recently in this new era that we are struggling between whether we're doing gathering events, whether we're doing virtual events, whether we're doing hybrid. I would present today that if you're doing the right things, that every event should be, and what I mean by that is that I think every event should be hybrid. And people look at me like, what are you talking about? And I say, well, I looked it up earlier today. What hybrid mean is the merging of two things. And I think that our new environment has created just that. I think that we did things the way we used to in the gathering event. And then we went to another end of the spectrum in 100% virtual events. And today I think if you're going to be successful, you have to take the best practices of both of those formats and combine them. And there's varying scales of how much you combine. But if you're taking the best practices and you're merging those two, you are in essence creating a hybrid. And so I think today just about every event is hybrid. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And one of the things that I know for me and our clients is that our events are no longer a 4-hour event on a Saturday night. Okay. I would say the majority of our events pre-COVID were Saturday evening, Friday evenings. We had the occasional weeknight event, but they were rare. The majority of our events were weekend events, and they were anywhere from a 4 to 5 hour event. They included a social hour and a plated dinner and an auction and a paddle race, and then some type of an entertainment. That tended to be kind of the natural format. And then we went to virtual, and we incorporated online bidding. Prior to the onslaught of COVID, we were pretty limited in our online bidding. Groups were hesitant to embrace it, not only because several of the auction platforms charged more to incorporate online bidding, but also because there was this concern that in a social atmosphere that people would be staring at their phones all the time, and that could be a real negative for the atmosphere of the event. And so we didn't really see a strong adaptation of online bidding until COVID. And then all of a sudden we did it, and we dove into it head first because that was the only way we were going to have bidding. We had to move all of our silent auctions, our live auctions, our raffle sales, our whatever revenue generators that we had to move them to online. And so hence came online bidding. And one of the things that I know we at G Events embraced right away was we went to the other side of the auction industry, and who had sold collectibles, cars, real estate, farm auctions, personal antiques and collectibles, all those different elements. They've been doing online auctions for 25 years. And so we said, what are the best practices of your industry? What works in the online auction world? And so they said, well, you start the bidding really low, many cases at $1, and you run that online auction. You make it available to those who want to participate for a minimum of a week. In some cases, they like to encourage covering 2 weekends. So maybe it's, anywhere from 7 to 14 days, right? So all of a sudden, we started doing that. We had a lot of success with that with our virtual events. We would start with the online auction starting a week before the live stream event. And then we would culminate all the bidding with a live auction and a paddle race and that type of stuff in the virtual event. So what stuck to me was that all of a sudden our events were really no longer just one night. They weren't confined to let's say a 4-hour, 5-hour window on Saturday night. All of a sudden our events became week-long fundraising events. They were no longer just a party. Okay. And so I started thinking about that, and it was interesting to me that we were still talking about, and I watched a lot of nonprofits do this. We promoted the live stream event. We did not promote when bidding started. We did not promote when raffle ticket sales began. We might have mentioned it. Maybe we ran a social media post, but we didn't really focus on those elements. We were still trying to drive people to attend our virtual event. And I'm going to encourage you to change the paradigm here a little bit. I want to see us kind of change the way we approach these things. And I'm going to talk to you today about my recommendation, which I've been giving now for several months, is that we promote the entire week of fundraising. We promote the entire week that people are given the opportunity to support your organization. And I want to give you some reasons why I think it's strong, is because when someone invites you to an event, whether it be a ball game or a fundraiser or any type of event, dinner at their house, whatever it is, they give you a set time and a set day that is going to take place. And you can almost instantly acknowledge whether you're even capable of attending. You might have a conflict, you might have whatever. And so in many cases, I believe that if someone wasn't able to attend that fundraising event on Saturday night at the ballroom, then they didn't really support that charity that year. It was kind of like, at least not at that event. And when we started virtuals, now all of a sudden we gave folks a week to participate, and it's a lot easier to accept an invitation to participate, not to attend. So I'm gonna encourage you to invite people not to attend your event, but to participate in your week of fundraising. I think there's a big drastic difference here, and it's not just, I think it's too easy to not attend. It's a lot easier to participate, and especially in this new environment, right? Because we have multiple ways for you to support our organization, whether it's through the online auction, whether it's through participating in a raffle, whether it's participating in the virtual event where we're going to have a live auction or where we're going to have a paddle race. You can participate by making a donation. There are so many ways that you can participate. It really opens the door to more folks to support your organization. And so I'm going to encourage you to think about that. Change our focus. I was talking to a group last night, and I kept hearing the committee talk about, well, we've got to get people to attend this event. How do we get more people to attend? How do we get more people? And I finally stopped them and I said, hey, folks, I think we need to change that. At the end of the day, our goal is we want people to support our cause. We want people to support our organization. We want to give them as many opportunities to do that as possible. We're going to focus on this week because it's great to have a focus and have a bringing together of folks for a concerted effort. And 1 week, it's pretty difficult to miss an entire week, right? And then we're giving them multiple ways to support. It used to be that we took the audience and we segmented it because we had an event that you was at the ballroom in downtown and you needed to buy a ticket or a table. You had to buy one for your spouse, your significant other. And maybe they needed a new outfit. Maybe you needed a new suit. Maybe you had to have your hair done that day. You decided you were going to take an Uber. You had to get a babysitter. There was a lot of things associated with it. And there's only 52 Saturdays in the year. And mark off, it was a very limited window that you were shooting for. And so that eliminated a lot of folks from supporting your organization. In today's environment, when we promote a week of fundraising, we know that our windows are open basically 24/7 and people can participate at their convenience, right? We're gonna have this big push and promotion of this week of fundraising, but participate at your convenience, whether it's logging in on your computer when it's convenient for you, make a donation, bid on online auction packages, buy raffle opportunity, buy chances in the raffle, whatever it may be, just make a straight donation. You're going to be able to participate at your convenience. So now all of a sudden, think about the people who could participate at their convenience versus the number of people. You only had so much room in the ballroom. Maybe you only had 250 chairs. Maybe you only had 500 chairs. It doesn't matter. It had 4 walls. There was a limit to how many people could support your event and your organization that night. Now, when we open it up through the internet and we expand the window for supporting your organization to a week, infinite possibilities, right? And that's fantastic. But so many times today, I still see organizations promoting a $10 virtual event on, Saturday at 7:00 or Wednesday night at 7:00. And I think, I'm busy 7:00 on Wednesday. I'm not going to attend. Therefore, I'm not going to support that cause. So, folks, I highly encourage you, start thinking about your event as a week of fundraising. If you are incorporating all of these multiple elements, whether it be online auctions, live auctions, a paddle raise or a fund a need, maybe there's a raffle, encourage that you promote those are going to last for a week, that they're not just one time. The other thing that's really nice about it is that you have the opportunity to get people to participate. And I'm going to encourage you, another change I want you to think about as you're soliciting people to support you during this week of giving, this week of supporting your fundraising event week. I'm going to encourage you to ask people not to register for your event, but to RSVP for your event. And I feel like it seems semantics, but I think that it has a big difference on how people participate. When we started doing virtual events, our auction softwares had always taught us that we needed to have people register in advance, right? Get all your guests to register in advance. They buy their tickets and they register. Well, there was an incentive to that concept, right? Because we would tell our guest that by registering, you will speed up the process both at when you enter the event and when you exit the event if you're pre-registered, right? So there was an incentive there. You thought, well, I don't want to stand in that line when I first get to the party. To have them swipe my credit card and take down my address and da 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 da. So there was an incentive to pre-register. When we moved to virtual, I don't think there was any reason. I can't think of any reason that would be motivating to the consumer, to the guest, to think that I need to register for this event. It's, I don't have to have a ticket. I'm just not motivated to do that. But if we ask folks to RSVP, that seems like the polite thing to do. Doesn't mean you're going to actually show up, but it does mean that you are interested in their event. Now, the process is the exact same, right? So when you change the language on your auction software website to, please RSVP, you market it, hey, please RSVP to our week of fundraising. I think it has a different tone than say, hey, please register for our week of fundraising. And by getting folks to RSVP, now you have the ability to contact them. You know who's interested, at least in your event. And now you can market to them when your online bidding starts. You can showcase some of your highlight auction packages. You can make them aware of ways to support. You can also share your mission with them. You can share mission-driven stories that tell the audience about what your organization does in the community. Share some stories about the impact of those donors' donations in the past. In other words, I think a lot of times folks come to support a organization and they've attended their fundraising event a year ago, and then they show up the next year. A lot of times it's a repeat audience. And I always tell groups, I think it's really important, first and foremost, recognize that and appreciate that they were here before, that they're not new to your organization necessarily. And so I always say, thank your people that have shown up, but then explain to them what you did with their money from a year ago. In other words, you asked them for things a year ago and they supported you. Tell them how it went. Proof in the pudding. It instills confidence that you have been good stewards of their donations. And I think people are more interested than ever in how your organization has navigated the last 24 months and what you've done and the impact you've had on the community, not necessarily all the challenges that you've had, because I think you get into this game of comparing challenges in COVID and it's a no-win situation, right? Everybody's got a worse story. But when you can celebrate your milestones, the things that you have accomplished during COVID, those are unique to your organization. So celebrate those. Use those to share with those folks who have RSVP to your event, right? To your fundraising week, because now all of a sudden that will motivate them to support you. And then by getting them to RSVP, you have, in essence, you're trying to grow your donor base, right? You're trying to make an effort to grow the number of people that you can reach and that you can tell them about what you've done in the community and how they can help you to continue that or to grow that impact on your community. So don't hesitate to be very aggressive in getting folks to RSVP to your event. In fact, I think that it's one of the biggest elements and opportunities in this new environment, is because remember, our target audience for this fundraising event has changed. What do I mean by that? Well, when we were hosting our event in the ballroom in downtown, we had 250 seats, and we were trying to get the 250 best people who were capable, had the capacity, and were willing to support our organization. We wanted those 250 people in the room. Now, when you do the math, remember that most people came in couples. And so really, we were securing 125 revenue sources, right? If everybody came in pairs. 250 people came in pairs. It's 125 wallets, let's call it. We used to call it pocketbooks, wallets, whatever you want to call it, revenue sources. Well, today in our new environment with online bidding, with raffles, with virtual live streaming and all those, we're not restricted to the number of chairs in a room today. So we don't necessarily have to focus on that elite of elite, right? We don't have to focus on those that select group of people who can afford to attend our event and can afford to still support our cause. We all of a sudden can reach people who might be able to support us on a much lower level, but it still has the same impact, right? And we're not restricted to the number of people that can attend a hybrid virtual event, right? Because we have the online bidding component and online donations and all those other things that they can participate by not being in the same room with us. So the concept of growing your donor base is I think is secondary to only your financial goals of your fundraising event. I think that it's the number 2 reason you do these fundraising events is to grow that donor base. And maybe they support you this week, or maybe they support you in the future, but you need to be able to have access to them, right? And so if you can get people to RSVP to your event, now you have access to them and you have the opportunity to communicate things about your organization that could motivate them to support you, whether it's today or in the future. And there's some different ways to motivate people. I've seen a lot of things that we've been doing here in the last couple of years, and I'd share a couple with you. You know, we've had prizes for RSVPing. You know, if you'll RSVP, you're entered automatically into a drawing to win, whether it's a trip or it's a, you know, something special. Maybe it's a dinner out, maybe it's a date night, maybe it's a week at the beach, maybe it's a week in Mexico, right? Depending on the event, depending on what is available. But I would present, you know, if you don't know what that prize might be, is think about something that it doesn't have to be. It's not something that people are necessarily going to bid on. All they have to do is register, right? So it's not like trying to identify what a raffle prize is where people will spend money to possibly win it. All they have to do is give you their contact information and they're entered to win, right? In this concept. So it doesn't have to be over the top. Could be simple. Could be, you know, if it's a school, maybe it's a year-round ticket to all the athletic events, or maybe it's a front row seat at the holiday program. It could be all sorts of different things. Otherwise, if it's a bigger corporate event, maybe it is a trip. Maybe it could even be a week-long trip to Mexico or Hawaii or something over the top. Many of the consignment companies right now are running incentives where if you'll use their packages for your live auction, that they will provide you with, a brief or quick 3, 4, 5 day trip to Mexico. Okay. I know our friends at Charity Booster have a package like that. It works really well. Chris Jennings and, the team down there do a great job with that. And other groups are doing it too, I know. So keep that in mind. But something to incentivize people to RSVP to your event, because then you can keep in touch with them, right? And share with them the different opportunities that they have to support your cause. And you have multiple ways with this week fundraising event. You have multiple ways for people to participate. They can participate in the online auction. They can support you through the raffle. They can support you with a cash donation. They can participate in the live auction during the live stream event, or maybe the in-person event. All sorts of elements. But even if you're doing an in-person event, I would caution you to go back to 100% in person, where only people who attend can bid on your auction packages and things of that nature. I don't see why we would do it. Doesn't make any sense to me. So anyhow, that's my thoughts for today. I'm going to encourage you, really stress, it's not a fixed amount of time anymore. It's not that narrow window of time that people can support you. It's now, with online bidding and raffles and things that we can incorporate online, your fundraising event is now a week-long event, and it should be promoted as such. As we've talked about before, we like the concept of kicking off bidding with a live stream to your social media accounts to kick off the week of giving, the week of generosity, whatever you want to call it. and then showcase the multiple ways that people can support your organization and make them aware they can participate at their own convenience. It does not have to be done at one time. It doesn't have to be done at Saturday night between 6 and 10, right? Lots of opportunity. And remember, every event's a hybrid now. It would not be in our best interest if we did not incorporate the best practices of both virtual events and pure gathering events into this new format called hybrid. And it's just different scales and different, the combinations are endless of ways that we can incorporate both formats into one format. And so virtually every event today is hybrid, whether we, necessarily call it that or not. It doesn't necessarily mean your in-person event or in-person component is live streamed. It can be, we have an online auction with a gathering event that is, the bidding on the live packages are only at the gathering event, only for those people in person. Yet what used to be our silent auction, anybody can bid on through our online auction. Sometimes we'll do simulcast where you can bid on the live packages by watching the live stream and using the auction software along with the people in the room. There's just all sorts of formats, but it all comes back to your event's now a week. It's not 4 hours on Saturday night. All right. Hey, folks, it was great to have everybody join us today. Appreciate you tuning in. If you missed anything, you want to go back and watch, recognize that all 47 episodes of Fundraising BIDness Talk are online on our Vimeo channel at fundraisingbidnesstalk.com. Check in. Let us know what you think. Always love the comments. And in the future, join us every Wednesday live right here at noon to talk about current things that are happening in the fundraising auction and golf tournament business. I'm Patrick Cyber with G Events LLC. Go to our website, drop me a line. You can also feel free. There's a scheduling app there. If you want me to visit with you about your event, would love to do it and talk to you specifically about how you can maximize your opportunity in the fundraising BIDness. All right. Thanks for tuning in today. Have a great, great day, folks. See you next time.